Coaches, Mike Kuchar with www.xnolabs.com. Coaches, we just introduced some pin and pull concepts by the University of Wisconsin and Wake Forest University. Right now we're going to take a look at Wake Forest University 2005-2006 drill tape from their spring practice. Offensive coordinator Steve Lebowski running some of these drills here. And we're just going to talk you through a couple drills that they use to really coach up the pin and pull scheme. Now this is the scoop and cut drill. Okay, this is used on the back side of these pin and pull schemes where any type of fast flow play. I know Wake Forest has been predominantly running jet sweep type plays, outside zone schemes. This is what Coach Lobo, as he's referred to, does with his offensive linemen pretty much every day. Now the way the drill is set up, you have these regular, I'm sure most of us have these boards, these offensive line, these thicker boards that we use, where offensive linemen are asked to step over the boards. Now, there's the cone set up 1 yard from the board, and the agile dummies are set up 2 yards from the cone. Okay, so the agile dummies, I'm just going to pause that for a second, are meant to simulate the down lineman or first level players. It's the offensive lineman's job is to work and scoop and cut and get to the near thigh board of that defensive lineman, any type of hit and pull or outside perimeter schemes. So here what you're going to see is those offensive linemen taking those wide steps over the board to simulate any type of activity when they're coming over the top and making sure that they're cutting that down lineman. The cone is 1 yard from the board, the bag itself, and then you have just that space. It's even with the cone. So Coach Lobo mentioned that the defensive lineman will have that bag even with the cone to make sure they're holding it at the right spot. And the boards here are 4 yards apart. So that first step here is going to be stepped right across the board laterally. The second step, they're going to trail, and they're going to throw. And most college coaches talking about throwing, and we do realize at External Labs that based on where you live in the country, some cutting is not allowed at the high school level, but we do have various readers at all levels, so we just wanted to introduce the cut block on the back side of this scheme to make sure it's appropriate for any level. And what they're going to do is going to throw that far arm into the thigh board or knee. Now, Coach Lobo talks about getting 2 or 3 steps down to emphasize that. He doesn't want to have a one-step and throw. He feels like that's unrealistic to have a one-step and throw, especially during the course of the game. It really does not happen that way. We all know that defensive linemen, especially at major levels of football, are pursuers. They're chasers. They run to the football, so that may not happen. Again, they're going to throw the right shoulder to the far thigh board or far knee. And an interesting coaching point that Coach Lobo, when we spoke with him a while back, Coach Lobo even mentioned that a lot of times that he will roll back into the bag. So sometimes those D linemen do not get cut, or they don't get on the ground first particular contact. So now he would teach them to roll back to make sure that they're putting pressure back on that defensive lineman, so that defensive lineman cannot pursue over the top and make plays on any full flow schemes. And he'll go the other way with it here. So the offensive lineman getting plenty of reps both ways. Notice how all offensive linemen are doing this, whether you're a center, whether you're a backside guard, backside tackle, backside tight end, on fast flow schemes like outside zone, so on and so forth. We have to make sure that we get that far shoulder down and we get the cut block. Now this next drill here is the front side of the scheme. Now, when we talked about pin and pull, oftentimes there will be pullers involved. Now, this drill could be applicable to not just the pin and pull outside zone schemes, could also be applicable to counter and power and gap schemes. And Coach Lobo talks about his 2-puller drill. He calls it a lead pull and a read pull. Okay, where he's going to have his offensive lineman up. We have 2 agile bags set up on the line. Okay, as you can see, right on that line there. Coach Lobo or whoever manager would be the kick out block, and he'd have a linebacker up in the alley on that cone, which is about 3 yards from the bags, maybe a little deeper for linebacker depth. Now he talks about a lead puller and a read puller. Okay, the read puller is always the first puller. Now the technique for the read puller goes as follows. What he is going to do is he's going to take a hinge step. Now most of you may know a hinge step on the backside of power or counter, where he is going to take that hinge step on a 45-degree angle and he's going to work down the line of scrimmage. Okay, and what he wants to do is he wants to run right at the man he is kicking out. Okay, Coach Lobo is very persistent on that. It's a hands technique. It's not a shoulder block like some coaches may coach, particularly in wing tee disciplines. This is a hands block for that puller, and he's just going to make sure that he is trying to kick that defender out. Now, as we all know, defenses do change with the times, and sometimes you see Coach does it right here. Okay, and I'll show that to you again here. What he does is he logs inside. Okay, so sometimes that defensive end will not let you kick him out. Okay, so what he will do oftentimes, he will work to make sure that either that front side read puller is going to kick out or log. And what Coach is doing there, he's going to force the log block. And the coaching point is this. Now, we've heard different coaches talk about different things with the kick out block. Some coaches say if you could see his belt buckle, okay, log him. If you can see his far jersey number, log him. By log, of course, you mean try to hook him to his outside number instead of kicking him out. But what Coach says is that if he plays to the inside of your shoulder, then you're going to log him. All right, if he plays to the inside of your inside shoulder, then you're going to log him. Okay, and that's why he calls the read puller for that puller. And there's Coach again talking about that hinge step. Okay, to make sure you get a kick out or a log. Now the second puller, okay, is going to be the lead puller. So the read puller is the one that's going to read whether he's going to get a log or kick out block. Now the lead puller is up on the second level. Now look at the distance right here, okay, between the read puller and the lead puller. The lead puller is a little deeper, okay. Remember, he has to clear the line of scrimmage. He has to get width, okay. He has to get around that traffic, okay, to make sure he's working outside there. And what he wants to do is he wants to get depth right away. Reason being, in case the first puller gets wrong-armed, okay, and that may happen, of course. If any defensive coaches, and I'm sure listening to this, what they teach their defensive ends is to get vertical when you're spilling, not just taking on with the outside shoulder, but push vertical. So that may very well happen. So this lead puller has to work on getting depth and working around to the second level player. Now, Coach doesn't talk about a skip pull. I know that we've had various discussions on that. Some coaches talk about the skip pull technique with the shoulder square working a second level. Coach prefers a flat pull, okay, or an open pull, getting those shoulders perpendicular to the line of scrimmage. Now just take a look at the footwork here on 71. It's got to be a quick decision. Does he get a log or does he get it kicked out? Okay, open step right there and a crossover. Okay, so it's an open step with the front foot and it's a crossover with the backside foot. Okay, and he's got to work to get deeper on that plane and get depth and make contact. And if this linebacker flows over the top, of course, any type of puller must get his eyes back inside. And buzzword for Coach is speed to contact. Always talks about his offensive lineman talking about speed to contact. Okay, make sure you get through and you get through that alley and block that second level player. And each player will rotate, okay, from the lead puller to the read puller and so on and so forth. Guards and tackles have to be prepared to know both. And again, can be used in the pin and pull schemes. Also can be used, again, in power and counter schemes and gap schemes such as those. Okay. We appreciate your attention, coaches. Again, Mike Kuchar, Senior Research Manager at www.xnolabs.com. Thank you for your attention.